After what can only be described as a unique 2020 for gaming, we're starting to feel things get right back on track. With E3 back in action, we're going to have a great week and a half of awesome announcements and reveals. So, we're already here. Why not try to figure out what might get talked about? Hi, I'm Paul from TSB World. Let's try to figure out E3 2021. We start off our coverage with the Summer Games Fest Kickoff Live show, which honestly, I have no idea. Elden Ring? Jeff Keighley himself is a physical wild card of imagination, and honestly, who knows what he's going to come up with. He might announce anything, honestly, and he seems to be pretty happy with what he's going to be showing off. He says it's going to be about an hour and a half to 2 hour show. He said 30 plus games, so honestly, it could be anything from small indie games, mobile games, up to AAA super games, and honestly, we're just going to have to wait and find out. Coke Prime Time. Honestly, there really isn't any... There's more confirmations of what won't be there than what anyone thinks will be there. We know there won't be Saints Row, Metro, Time Splitters, or Dead Island. So who knows what they're gonna have? Let's just sit and watch and find out. Ubisoft Forward. Finally, a conference with a few hints. We already know a few games they'll have. We know we'll see Rainbow Six Quarantine and Far Cry 6. Also, most of their live service games will get updates as well. So, games like Rainbow Six Siege, Watch Dogs Legions, among others, will be talked about. And of course, surprises, quote unquote, that we can speculate on. We know they've transitioned to every other year model release for Assassin's Creed, so I doubt we'll see any new announcements outside of maybe a re-release, and I'd be super hyped for a Black Flag remake, but I won't hold my breath. But I trust Ubisoft would deliver a solid presentation. Also, Just Dance, because it honestly wouldn't feel right if it didn't have it. Honestly, as I was recording this, a really crazy report just came out saying that Ghost Recon, Division, and Splinter Cell are going to merge into a new first free-to-play shooter? Alright, let's talk about Xbox, because I think Xbox and Bethesda have quite a big show planned. Let's break it down as best we can. Now, to me, the best thing is knowing we have a 90-minute presentation and we really only know of a few games that are probably a lock for the show, that being Halo Infinite, Psychonauts 2, and Flight Simulator. Halo Infinite is a no-brainer, with the franchise needing a spiritual reboot and something to reinvigorate fans, and a year-long break to figure out what they need to get done. I expect a huge blowout of information for Halo Infinite. Psychonauts 2 has probably been done for a while now, or is pretty close to being done. I imagine a pretty early release, maybe August, September time. I mean, that has to be talked about here. And honestly, Flight Simulator, that would be an amazing shadow drop if they just said Flight Simulator is out today, on Sunday, when the presentation happens. That would be the best announcement they could make. Now that we've gotten through the probably gonna happens, let's get into the speculation. Games like the Gunk and the Ascent seem to be good candidates to appear. I definitely think the Gunk will appear and probably get a release date. I also hope we see Exomecha and Crossfire X, two titles with a lot of pedigree and potential behind them. Also expect, as usual, ideaed Xbox titles and sizzle reels. Okay, let's speed through some of these next big games that I think may or may not appear. Hellblade 2. Might make an appearance, but it could be a 2022 title, so they may want to hold it off. Maybe make it a holiday, October kind of thing. Next Halloween would be a crazy release date. Fable, I wouldn't bet on it, but I'm really hoping I'm wrong about this one. I would love to see just a little bit of gameplay from the next Fable game. Please, Phil Spencer, please. State of Decay? Probably not. Forza Motorsport? Probably not. Everwild? Really? Perfect Dark? God, I hope so. Avowed. Of all the Series X first-party games, this one feels like it has the best chance to appear. Again, I don't know why. I just got a weird feeling about this one. It might. Let's see what happens. So, these last few titles are the big unknowns. Some have been revealed, some have not been revealed, but a lot of these are just leaks and rumors. Some are long shots. So let's go through them. Project Typhoon. Not a lot is known about this, but it seems to be a open-world co-op action game being developed by a third-party company for the Xbox exclusively. We'll hear more about it, hopefully. Insiders are saying it's pretty close to being done, so we'll have to see what's going on. Omen. So Omen is being said to be a first-person vampire game, which sounds like it'll be good. I mean, we don't have too many of those, so I'm pretty excited if it is true. And Arcane seems to be honestly the perfect studio to make that game really fun. Wolfenstein? So I'm strongly in the camp that this game is going to be announced at E3 or talked about. I think that the team, Machine Games, is big enough to tackle two projects at once, and I don't think that Indiana Jones is going to stop them from working on Wolfenstein. And they've said they're working on Wolfenstein already, and that was a few years ago, and Steam finished the last full Wolfenstein game quite a while ago. I think that this is more than likely to be announced at this event. Bethesda didn't put their name on there to only talk about Starfield, which we'll get to Starfield. Speaking of, Indiana Jones. I think unless this game is closer than we think, I don't think we'll see it at this event. I think Wolfenstein is probably further along and Indiana Jones is probably not as far in development, but I could be wrong. I guess we'll see. Kojima? Sure, why not? Let's say he's there. Who knows? Honestly, at this point, it's more likely than unlikely to me. Forza Horizon 5. I am also in the camp that a new Forza Horizon game is quote-unquote on the horizon. But once again, that could be wrong about that, but I really do feel this one is real. In Mexico, of course, I love a drifting, Japan type atmosphere, but at the same time, I will not complain at a beautiful Mexico if that's what they do. Plus, there's been some rumors I've heard here and there. Maybe it's not Mexico, but we'll just have to see what's going on. Starfield. I think it's time for the blowout. Open the floodgates and allow us to finally understand the worlds we're about to explore, and how unique of a title Todd Howard and his team can create. Can they make a game that is far distinguished from their previous work? I really do hope so. I'm only wishing for the best things to happen to this game. And finally, of course, there'll be many, many third-party titles that'll be talked about that who could honestly predict them? And they're probably going to talk a lot about Game Pass. And I'm certain a lot of these titles that get talked about, if not almost all of them, will be coming to Game Pass day one. Which, isn't that just a beautiful thing? Square Enix presents. Yes, another year of the JRPG mega company having a hopefully good E3 conference. And I think this will be probably the best one to date. I hope so, at least. We'll be getting a world premiere from Eidos Montreal, which is more likely than not the new Guardians of the Galaxy game. We'll be getting another look at Babylon Falls, which we have not seen in quite a while, and updates on the new Life is Strange game, True Colors, and also updates on Marvel Avengers, but I don't know any people still care about that. But it will be easy to assume we don't see a little more, and we have quite a few options as to what we might see. Forspoken is probably going to be at the event, but it all depends on how far out it honestly is. Also, smaller titles like Neo and The World Ends With You and Project Triangle Strategy are also pretty good to show up. Project Triangle Strategy, that was pretty good. The final wink wink couple predictions will be relating to Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts franchise. Let's start with Kingdom Hearts, because if I'm being honest, I'm not thinking we're going to get any big updates for Kingdom Hearts this year, because next year is the big 25th anniversary. So I think next year will be a big blowout year for merchandise, products, games, etc, etc, etc. Maybe we'll see a Switch port or two this time, but I doubt we'll have any huge announcements for the franchise or the series, but I hope to be wrong. Now, Final Fantasy, I would be shocked if we don't see Final Fantasy 16, at least some kind of trailer at this event. I think Final Fantasy 16 is much further along than we think it is, and I honestly will go on a limb and say I think 2022. I just think this game has been in production for a while, and I think that we might, maybe not 2022, but I think that it wouldn't be a crazy prediction to have. Also, it's tradition that we'll get some type of spin-off and or Final Fantasy remake or remaster at the event. So, looking out for whatever that may be. My fingers are crossed for the Final Fantasy 13 Trilogy Remaster, but I really know that's just me. We're going to go through these next couple of conferences real fast. The PC Gaming Show. I don't know, this is usually boring to me, but hey, maybe Vampire Masquerade will get a new release date. Future Game Show. Warner Brothers. Back for Blood. Oh yeah, I'm all the way tuned in for this one. And I'm not being ironic, I am actually excited for Back 4 Blood, but honestly, a whole event for just that game is kinda strange. Capcom. Who knows? They could announce nothing and just do updates, or they could go crazy. Don't forget, Street Fighter V has been out for a very long time, and maybe it's finally time for Street Fighter 6. Could be more news for Dragon's Dogma 2, and maybe the weird space game Pragmata. They had that leak of several of their next upcoming games, so maybe we'll figure out how accurate or inaccurate that leak actually was. Take-Two. So I will start with this. GTA 6 will not be announced. Now I understand I would actually lose my mind if GTA 6 was announced, but I see it as highly, highly unlikely. It's just not Rockstar's style to reveal a game this way. They usually do big game reveals on their own terms without warning. Plus they have other things they must be done before we can get to 6, aka expanded and enhanced. Now what else does Take-Two have to offer? Well, I think it's safe to assume that NBA 2K22 is going to be there. And there are rumors of a Marvel XCOM game, which I'm kinda want. I think they're going to talk a lot about, honestly though, the expanded enhanced edition. I think they'll probably also do a little bit of GTA and Red Dead Online, maybe some new DLC or something like that. But I really do think they need to explain how enhanced and expanded this game is going to be. And we have a release date. We just don't really know anything more than it'll be better. You must understand, I am weak and would love more than anything to look for an excuse to buy GTA 5 again and play its story mode again. And their online services are their big players, so DLC and new content is almost a foregone conclusion. Nintendo. Okay, so if there's one thing in the world that makes smoke come out of my ears is trying to predict what the hell Nintendo is going to do. Like, ever. But I'm going to try. Every time I show Nintendo, I get an email from YouTube, so we're going to probably try to get through this one quick. We'll probably see more of Game Builders, Mario Golf, and Skyward Sword. Those are pretty good picks. Outside of that, who knows? We could see several Switch ports, you know what I'm saying? Like third-party kind of things like that. We'll probably see a couple of indie games here and there. Hopefully, maybe we see Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4, maybe Pikmin 4. I'd really like to see the Kingdom Hearts collection ported to the Switch, because I'd love to play that game everywhere I go. Bandai Namco. I don't know. Elden Ring? Personal hopes. Now I'm just going to rapid fire off a bunch of games that if they were announced, I probably would jump out of a window. But none of them probably will be. A new Sly Cooper game, Sleeping Dogs 2, Pokemon Coliseum, Tekken 8, Tekken vs. Street Fighter, a Mega Man Battle Network collection, Yu-Gi-Oh! Tag Force 7, a 3D Rayman, Sonic Adventure Remake collection, Wind Waker Switch port, new Gauntlet game, LA Noire 2, Bully 2, Good Madden, Final Fantasy 13 Trilogy Remaster, Sora and Smash. I know I said it's unlikely a few seconds ago, but please, gameplay of Fable. I would love that. And there you have my predictions, thoughts, and speculations for E3. And if the world is as crazy as it is now, I'm probably going to be more wrong than right. But either way, I think we're all going to be in for a treat. Here's to the new normal. Here's to a great E3. This is Paul from TSB World, signing off.